all corners of the globe to your ears, it's the Midnight Movie Cowboys. Sometimes informative, sometimes controversial, but always unpredictable. It's the Midnight Movie Cowboys podcast with your hosts, Hunter, John, and Stu. And now, on with the show.
Hello everybody, welcome to week 3 of Munsters Month. We're going to be talking about the Munsters Revenge from 1981, something I'm looking forward to greatly. But before we do that, we're going to get to the usual cast of crew, and we're going to go to Dallas, Texas. I'm always getting these wrong. Over there, Hunter Dusing.
Yo.
Okay, over in Denver, Colorado. Your haircut, Johnny, have you? Yeah, looking very sharp.
Yeah. Finally cut the shag off.
You didn't bring home the enthusiasm from the barber, though, did you? Of course. Down there, I hope I got it right. John Grace in Denver, Colorado.
See?
And, of course, returning again for week 3 is over down there, Mr. Garo Nigoghossian.
Hey, and also, but once you finish the intro, I got stuff from last week I forgot to talk about, just like the last episode.
No, please don't Bryan Singer stuff because we.
No. Because I write notes and I don't look at them during the show. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, no worries.
No Bathhouse Berry stories.
No.
Okay. All right. Before we get into last week's details that Garo wants to get into, I'm going to play a little game with John and Garo. I want you to name this person if you can identify who they are. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll start with John. Okay. I'll have to go to share screen. I want you to tell me who this is.
That's Fred Gwynn, right?
Very good. 1 point to John. All right, Garo, you're next.
Okay.
I want you to tell me if you can recognize who this is.
Yvonne DiCarlo.
Very good. All right, John. 1 point for Garo. John, can you tell me, do you recognize who this person is?
It's Al Lewis.
All right. Tight race. Okay, Garo. Let's see if you can tell me if you recognize who this person is.
It's Lazy Craze Boss. It's Lazy Craze Boss. I'm playing video games. I'm very good at them.
That machine made so much money.
Except virtual.
We need to put it in Lazy Craze. It's just putting money in the machine all day. We can make money. It's profit. It'll make a profit of $400 a day. $400 you don't have, Alex.
There you go. I found it. Well, I snagged a picture. I thought I've got to share it because people have been asking me, what does he sound like? What does he look like? I thought.
Just say he looks like Bing Crosby's grandson. He does. Bing Crosby's grandson looks like that.
Does he really?
Yeah.
What's his name?
I had lunch with him and his mom, Spice Williams, a few years back, and he looks just like that.
No, your old boss's name. What's his name?
Well, I'm not going to say his name, but
we've said it before anyway.
Yeah. We gave it away, but people can go dig that up. You know?
Yeah, people can listen to every single episode until they find it.
Exactly. You have to go back and listen to every episode. I'm not going to name him. I'm not going to name the Brazilian today.
That could be next week's game. Name the Brazilian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, should give a prize.
I still like Led Zeppelin. I was introducing my kid to Led Zeppelin this week, playing it in the car when I took him to school.
And your son said, "Sounds like the Ramones."
Yeah, I kept popping him. It kept popping in my head. Laser Craze Boss going, I still listen to Led Zeppelin. I still like it.
All right. Now, that game exists for no reason, just to see the reaction from these two after that last picture.
It made my heart.
I was just going, where's this going?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
I had to line them up so I didn't hit the wrong picture at the wrong time. All right, Garo, what did we miss from last episode?
Okay, in Munsters Go Home, do you remember when the brother and sister were planning on scaring them, Herman and the whole gang?
Yeah.
And they were fighting over who got to wear the white sheets. It was that point I knew that they were Democrats.
Yes. Turning into the Nick Searcy show. That's his whole Twitter feed. Somebody brings up he plays a villain in some movie. Yeah, I'm good at playing Democrats. It's every freaking Nick Searcy tweet.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to bring up, going back to the Harry Knowles podcast, there's two things I forgot to bring up. One of it is the guy who does the show, who I said was a libtard last week. He calls every girl who like, I guess, like, Harry Knowles came on to or copped the feel on, he calls them survivors. They're all survivors. And the only way I would say you could call yourself a survivor is if Harry Knowles fell on you. Then you can say you're a survivor.
Because it has to be the threat of death.
Yeah.
Death.
Just because he asks you for a kiss doesn't make you a survivor.
I mean, he smells bad. I heard he smells really bad, so there could be some toxic contamination.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know, man. The standard for this might be a little different with Harry.
I mean, I just hearing like people be like, yeah, I went to one of those button-umathons and he tried to get me to have a threesome with his wife, and I'm just like, yeah, that's disgusting, but that doesn't make you a survivor. That just makes you been come on by a really creepy, ugly dude. If you look like George Clooney, you probably would have fucking done it. But that was
know the rules. That cartoon with hello HR department.
Isn't Harry Knowles classed as a threesome on his own?
Yeah, pretty much. Probably a foursome.
His thighs and his stomach. Supposedly his legs don't work at all, so I don't know. I don't know if that's by choice, if he's like some of these slobs in the grocery store to get on those scooters. And then like one night in the grocery store, like they were blocking an aisle because two were talking to each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why we have mass shootings.
And okay, and the last thing I wanted to bring up from that podcast was he was talking with the guy who runs JoeBlow.com, who's Armenian, and he was saying
Bendian or whatever.
Yeah, and he was saying like, one of the reasons I started my my website was because all you heard were like, old white men's, reviews of, movies and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, confirmed, I'm a POC. Guys, you got a POC. Now you because Armenian is not considered white just from that podcast. Right. I got to figure it out.
I guarantee you that did not enter his head. He's saying that now because it's fashionable to say that now. At the time, he was just some internet movie nerd who started his own movie gossip page.
Yeah, but it's now
fashionable to
now you can call like the fucking projection booth contest podcast a fucking Klan rally because they're nothing but a bunch of white devils on there. So you got a POC.
It's every
now.
podcast. It's all a bunch of honkies.
Yeah, but now you got a POC. Me.
That's true.
So hang on a second. So Bren actually is the one walking around saying my one black friend. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's talking about you.
Well, he's saying he's called like sand N-word. He calls me. Yeah, that's what he calls me.
Jawa.
Yeah. Okay. See, I can say the actual
C
word. Yeah, Dune C word, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last thing I wanted to bring up is next week we're going to be ranking the Hermans. The Hermans, am I correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
There's one that has slipped by, a recent Herman Munster from the last year. And I think we need, so you guys have to do your homework and you have to watch about 30 seconds from Licorice Pizza because John C. Reilly plays Fred Gwynn playing Herman Munster in Licorice Pizza.
Are you kidding?
Yep.
Oh,
You
wow.
gotta
It
go-
just made me want to watch it now.
I've actually wanted to see it for a while, but it never got a Blu-ray release here for some reason.
I think it's
on Prime,
it's
Amazon
streaming.
Prime.
Yeah, it's on
Amazon
Amazon
Prime.
Prime.
Okay.
But yeah, I was kind of done with PTA after Inherent Vice. I didn't see Phantom Thread, but Licorice Pizza was getting some positive buzz, but so is Inherent Vice, and I walked out of that.
I think it's his second best movie.
Okay.
After what do you think is his best?
Punch Drunk Love. Everything else garbage.
I rewatched Boogie Nights about 2 months or so back, and man, that film really has not aged well.
It hasn't. I watched some of it recently, and I was going, boy, this doesn't hit like it used to.
No. No.
There's something about it that feels off. It feels artificial. But I watched that movie, The Vast of Night, yesterday, and I don't know if any of y'all have seen that, but
Never heard of it.
It's an Amazon movie. A lot of people were telling me, "Oh, you got to see this movie. You got to see this movie." And when I posted I was watching it, I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's great," or "Oh, it's got a great vibe and stuff." But I noticed that the film, it's a first film, the director's first movie, I guess, and he does the same thing PTA does in his early films, where he's just kind of aping Robert Altman. You get the long tracking shots, the overlapping dialogue. It's very like one of my friends posted on my review. He goes, it has that big first movie energy, but it's like, I'm going to do all this stuff that Robert Altman did, but because it's going to get me attention, and it's the same. I said, it's the type of filmmaking that makes Burt Reynolds roll his eyes on the set.
And he punches you on the press tour.
But yeah, it had that same type of thing where I was like, it just feels really derivative, but the movie thinks it's really clever,
How many of those filmmakers today, the new up-and-coming ones, are trying hard to sort of recapture that early to mid-90s new generation of independent filmmakers that were coming through?
It's scary.
Any of them are?
I can't even think of like a new filmmaker that's made anything good. Actually, I'm like thinking of like all these movies, like, oh, this is a new director. Oh, and then you watch. I can't even remember the last time I was like, oh, that guy has talent, or something. It just seems all kind of homogenized bullshit recently.
I watched one called Purple Hearts on Amazon. I was forced into watching it, trust me, because there was nowhere to go. I was sitting with a wife, and boy, it is the biggest piece of shit I've seen. It is so woke. It's beyond sickening. It really is.
I'll tell you, I go see, I still go see movies in theaters, and the trailers sometimes are like woke fest. Like, it's like an Emmett Till movie coming out. You got one about Black African women who are like an army movie. Then you have gay Apatow comedy coming out, and it's like everything is just looks shittier and shittier and shittier than the last movie, and it's all woke garbage. And it's like, why do it's like they're daring me to like give up watching movies. It's what they're trying to do.
Do you remember I remember when Judd Apatow's movies were like the target of kind of leftist film critics, because they were like, oh, his movies are toxically masculine, there's too much it's all about like the women are all unfun shrews in his movies, and
they were truthful.
But I just remember him being like, his movies were like the problem, and then he just went, oh, all these people that hate me, I'm going to start making movies for them now. Not that his stuff was good.
No, it never was.
Yeah, like, This Is 40 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But
really?
But oh yeah. He just I've never understood like getting relentlessly attacked in the press and going, "Oh, let me please you." I want to do.
He's a jellyfish, no spine.
Yeah. Yeah. And but yeah, like, and it was like after Bridesmaids, that was the one that was like the big correction,
It's like I made a woman where women are funny. Don't hate me.
They just act like they all act like John Belushi in Animal House, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, movies are garbage now. I'm waiting for that turn to make when you start having like, someone come out and be like, I'm just going against everything and I'm making something fucking funny. And I'm just waiting for that and it's not happening yet. Maybe in another year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, who knows.
Someone needs to give you money, Garo, to make another one.
Oh, please. If someone were to give me money, I actually have an idea for a brilliant comedy. Brilliant. I have it all mapped out in my head. And I already know the cast I want. I want Sam Hyde to star in it.
Did any of you see him boxing that dude and
the Candyman?
Hassan Piker, I'm coming for you. It's like,
I'm gonna kill you in the ring. No, in real life.
Oh, right.
That guy, he just knows how to make the memes. You know, he just knows how to do the meme.
Well, this is a big year for him. He had the iDubbbz documentary and his own version of the iDubbbz documentary, which were both of them watching together were great. Then you had the whole boxing thing. He also trained the guy from Epic Mealtime for his fight. This is like his biggest year since $1 Million Extreme probably showed. You know?
Yeah. And what was it? I saw Andy Worski got like knocked out almost immediately.
Yeah, in like 2 seconds. Yeah, 2 seconds.
Like,
the guy punched
he was
him.
talking so much smack and then just boom, you know?
Yep. I mean, the guy just came at him with like boom, 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 and he was just down.
Oh man. I was like, man, talk about writing your mouth's writing checks your body can't cash, you know?
But I had a good feeling that Sam was going to win his fight, and he did. He was just taking punches, and letting the guy wind himself out, and then he just came in with some, decent punches to the face, and it was over for the guy.
It was just like Rocky 3. It was just like Balboa and Clubber Lang.
Whereas the fight with Worski, it was like when Johnny Knoxville boxed Butterbean.
Surely he didn't win. Surely Knoxville didn't win.
Knoxville got knocked down and his head busted open like a watermelon. But what's so funny
the best line right afterwards.
The best line is he goes,
"Yep,
is Butterbean okay?"
Yep.
That is one big motherfucker, mate. Butterbean, he's a beast.
I was like, the dude is good when he gets the crap knocked out of him and he still has the presence of mind. He's used to getting concussed because he has the presence of mind to crack a joke while he's bleeding all over the place.
All right, let's get into the Munsters Revenge. Well, this will be another tangent episode.
Yes.
So, we've got... Not that. And not your pinball playing mate either. Where's this tab? Here. All right. Munsters Revenge from 1981. Directed by Don Weiss. Starring Fred Gwynne, Yvonne DiCarlo, Al Lewis. Oh, sorry. For those who don't know, Fred Gwynne is Herman. Yvonne DiCarlo is Lily. Al Lewis is Grandpa. Casey Martell is Eddie Munster. Joe McDonnell is Marilyn Munster, who has a lot of screen time in this one.
But
we'll get to that shortly.
Does anybody know what movie we've covered on the show she was in?
Was it the Chuck Norris one?
Yeah, the Octagon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. And Casey Martell was in the Amityville Horror as one of the kids.
He was in E.T. also.
Bob Hastings is the Phantom, cousin Phantom of the Opera. Peter Fox is Glenn Ball. I know his name. Peter Fox.
You haven't mentioned the worst part of the movie.
I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Herb Voland is Police Chief Harry Boyle. Sid Caesar is Dustin
There
Diablo.
we
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm glad we're in agreement on that.
This is seriously, this episode before we started recording, I had it in my head. I'm going to go on a rant about Sid Caesar.
He's
really?
terrible in this movie. He's
Oh,
awful.
he's awful. Terrible.
Dreadful.
Like, I
Yeah.
was sitting there watching it going, was he ever funny? I'm trying, I know he's in all the Mel Brooks stuff, and
I've
worst-
seen
The Sid Caesar
10
show.
Your show of shows, and he's funny in that. In the 1950s on TV, he was very funny. But after that, he has never made me laugh in anything.
I don't think he made me laugh once in this. His whole
No, he's horrible.
His Italian
I-
accent is the worst, and it kept going in and out, in and out. Like when he did the Yiddish thing, it was perfect, because And but his Italian, horrible, worse than anything in House of Gucci, and it was terrible in House of Gucci.
House of Gucci, man. That was an ethnic
Well,
crime.
it reminded me of what
Yeah.
Howard Stern used to say about Robin Williams back when Howard Stern was mean and funny.
Mm.
Is he said Robin Williams doesn't tell jokes, he just does shtick. And that's Sid Caesar in this movie. He just does shtick. He's not doing jokes. There's no humor. He's just doing his shtick that gets him by. And they really should have edited most of that stuff out.
Yeah,
there's
the whole
these
movie.
he does these long bits where he's talking about his ancestors and the Egyptians and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and it is just bereft of joy. Anything. I was just sitting there watching it, going, like, can I fast forward? Do I need to hear any of this?
For the dignity of the show, you can't fast forward, Hunter. Can't do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I mean, you never know what might happen.
Like,
So-
that's never happened, you liars.
I mean, every time he came on screen, it dragged the movie to a halt.
Yeah.
It just
Oh,
made it go. Because I really liked this movie. There was two things I didn't like in it. I didn't like Sid Caesar, and I didn't like the Phantom of the Opera. Those two, you cut them out. It's actually really, really, really good. But those two, oh my God! Every time they came on screen, it was just poison. I mean,
They should
really,
have
they
Rip
feel
Taylor play Phantom of the Opera with the way
they
he's
feel
doing.
like
Oh,
they feel like they should be in Rob Zombie's version of the Munsters, not this Munsters. That's how bad they are.
Yeah,
I will
the
say
Phantom
this.
was just the Phantom was so broad. It didn't fit. Like, nothing in that show is that big. And it just doesn't work. Doesn't fit.
I will say, Sid Caesar's fine for me in this film because I have seen it literally over 100 times. That was not a joke. I have seen it over 100 times.
it's called Stockholm Syndrome, Stu.
It's called enjoyment factor, John.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, here's your Stockholm syndrome here. Sid Caesar's fine. Phantom of the Opera, love him. I could not have this film without him. Has to be in there.
Could 100% had it without him. In fact, I even figured out because the one plot point he's kind of needed for is when he uses his voice to
Shatter the
crack
bell jar.
bell.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, just have it have like a kind of mirror reflection in it, and then Herman could just look into it and be like, I'm looking handsome today, and just cracks open. And that's how you get the Phantom out of the movie.
So we're looking at the Garo fan edit.
Yes. I was rewriting the movie and making it better while I was watching it.
Oh, okay. No worries then. But
Because I get rid of Sid Caesar, replace him with friggin' Gary Busey, and then go with get rid of him off, and you got a really good Munster movie.
all right, you guys didn't like Sid Caesar. Who would you replaced him with? Back in
Woody
81.
Allen.
Who?
Woody Allen. No.
Oh, you better be kidding. Oh, I hate Sid Caesar. Who'd you replace him with? Crickets.
Probably Norman Fell, because he was like a good evil person on Three's
Could have
Company.
gotten Vincent Price at that time.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
Vincent
Vincent
Price.
That's a good
Price
call.
would be lovely.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of who I would have, an actor who probably would have done it then. What's his name? Paul Williams, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of TV at that time. He would have been probably the ideal guest they could have gotten. But Vincent Price would have been great to see him in a Munsters. I would have gone with a horror actor at the time. Even
John
Christopher Lee
Carradine?
probably would have done.
John
John Carradine.
John
They would want to
Carradine
comedy,
will do
I think.
anything for. John Carradine would do anything for.
Well, he was in the first one in
Yeah.
Monster Go Home. So
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to take a general consensus. This
Donald
film-
Pleasance would have been great.
Oh no! I love me some Donald Pleasance, but no, it's just he's too ham-fisted for this. No. I mean, his greatest performance ever will be that Columbo, Any Old Port in the Storm.
Yeah, he's great in that.
That's his best one. Better than
I would
Halloween and any other sequels afterwards. Better than The Great Escape.
Have you seen the thriller Raw Meat, Stu?
No.
Or I think it's called Death Train or something. I forget. But it was filmed in England. But Donald Pleasance is really good in that.
Okay.
Like, he's excellent. In fact, Christopher Lee does a cameo in the film just so he could work with Donald Pleasance. I think he
Christopher Lee.
for free.
Christopher Lee would have been great in it.
Yeah.
He would have done it too. I heard Christopher Lee. I've heard a bunch of people who've been asked what was it like working with Christopher Lee, and all of them have said, "Well, all he does is talk about himself."
As he should.
Like all he does is talk about, this movie I did. And he just goes on and on and on.
And when he did his metal album, he silenced all his critics after that.
That's right.
One of the best ones.
I haven't heard it.
It's better than
That
Shatner's
sounds like the
metal album.
Ramones.
Yeah.
This is
It's,
Pat Boone's metal album.
Oh, right.
And the guy who went on to play guitar for Judas Priest, Richie Faulkner, was the dude who wrote and arranged all the guitar stuff.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, before Pre was in Priest.
Who did Zach Wilde? Oh, Zach Wilde was the Shatner album, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did the Shatner record.
He's a 6 strings for hire, that guy,
Yeah.
as we know. But, yeah, I was going to say the general consensus, this film is not that well liked amongst the people here.
I actually liked it. I didn't like those two aspects of the movie, but I liked Herman and Grandpa. I actually liked the new Marilyn. I thought she was better than the one in Munsters Go Home, and they had her in like a fur bikini for a little bit. So that was great too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they gave some stuff for the dads in this movie.
Yeah. Some dad shots.
I thought I laughed a bunch, in the movie. I liked it better than Munsters Go Home. I'm going to say that. I thought it was a better Munsters movie. I liked that the plot was pretty much just a Scooby-Doo plot. I enjoyed that. I just felt like the villain was horrible and the Phantom of the Opera guy was annoying. You take those two things out of it, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought the scene where Grandpa and Herman dressed up as like waitresses was hysterical. So I thought that was very funny. The scene where the beginning opening scene where they're at the wax museum and they're like, oh, let's take a picture with our wax things, and all the Japanese guys show up. And Herman goes to him, will you take our picture? And they all run away screaming. And he's like, they're from a country that's never seen a camera before.
Yeah. There was one little tidbit that obviously I picked up, God knows when, but I don't know if you guys saw it, that every time you saw the outside of the house, the Munster house.
Yeah, it was the Munsters Go Home footage.
Yeah, it was the Munster Go Home car, the Dragula with... England or bust on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice little nod to the old one.
Yeah.
But this film was done in 81, filmed in 1980, late 80, I believe. And Herman Munster, Fred Gwynne, asked for a truck ton of money, thinking he was not going to get it, and he was going to nix the idea, and they said, yep, money's all yours.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, as they do, some actors, they price themselves out of possibility, but for a role they don't want to do, and they called his bluff and gave him the money. So
and he was probably like, I guess we have our new house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid off the mortgage right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
and I like it that he didn't want to do it, but he wasn't phoning it in at all. You know, he was still the same Herman Munster.
No,
you know?
he did a great job. I mean, I was sitting there going, man, you know, it doesn't feel like he's been gone from this role at all, because he knows all the way to how to work the makeup, you know, to get all the jokes and the facial expressions. You know, it's not like it just felt like he was another episode of the show, you know.
It's not like Harrison Ford in an Indiana Jones sequel where he looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Ooh.
Oh, Harrison Ford in any movie. Harrison Ford is
he doesn't want to be there.
No, like he doesn't care.
But one thing I will bring up, that the film is available on this Munster Go Home, the American Blu-ray from Shout Factory, as a special feature in HD. And the HD isn't... It looks fantastic. Looks the best it's ever looked, but it's not kind to the three older actors in here. Lily's heavier. Okay, she still looks the same. Yvonne De Carlo still looks the same. She's older. She's 58 when she made this. She's slightly heavier. Very buxom.
Gene Simmons would say, she's still fuckable.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think he did her about another 6 or 7 years after this, around the time of American, Gothic. Yeah, or thereabouts. But anyway.
But yeah, I was gonna say the Casey Martell's makeup doesn't quite go down far enough. You know, the actors, you know, they've aged. You know, and you can tell. You know. Mm-hmm. Especially, but I think it was the least kind to Yvonne De Carlo, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Al and Fred still they've always looked old. So.
Oh yeah, but there are on this Blu-ray there amongst the special features, there's behind the scenes pics of Munsters Revenge, and publicity stills and some posters and TV adverts when the film was airing in '81. But there are 3 pics of Fred Gwynne, Al Lewis, and Yvonne De Carlo out of costume and makeup at that time, and yeah, they've really aged, especially Yvonne De Carlo. But hey, she looks fine. The only problem is with this film, she's not in it a great deal, I've realized. She's there, but she sort of swans in and out.
Yeah, and like, I guess because they had the new Eddie, and they're like, we really don't want to deal with this new Eddie. Let's put him in like the movie for like 5 minutes and not have to deal with him. That's what it felt like, you know, because it's like when he shows up, you're like, yeah, this ain't Eddie. You know, he's like a terrible Eddie, and it's good that they kept him out of the movie for you know, as much as they did, you know. And I guess that the consequence of that is that, you know, Yvonne De Carlo had to be attached to him, so you know, she's probably in the movie for like 20 minutes, I think, probably.
Yeah, this is really Herman and Grandpa's movie.
Yeah,
and
very centric.
And Marilyn's.
And Marilyn, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Marilyn. That was for the dads, as I said.
And I think it's interesting that they chose to kind of sideline Yvonne De Carlo in favor of a new Marilyn. You know, maybe it's because they felt she was looking kind of old. So, but I think it's interesting that they gave a lot of screen time to someone who was not in the show. You know.
Yeah.
So Hunter, what would Gene Simmons say?
Said it, you know,
about Joe McDonnell or Yvonne De Carlo?
What would Gene Simmons say if he had a choice between Yvonne De Carlo and Joe McDonnell? What would Gene say?
Oh, I think Gene would. I don't think he'd turn either one down. You know.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that.
Gene is a generous man. You know, he's made. I've made a lot of money over the years.
Money.
Done quite well, and I would actually feel more generous towards them if they would purchase a Kiss Vault experience. I'd be happy to bring Vinnie Vincent and Bruce Kulick along with me.
Yeah, people who had nothing to do with it, but let's get them to do it. But surprising, this film was not released in October of '81. It was left for February for some reason.
Ratings sweep. It was sweeps month. It was the big ratings month. February and May, I think, in November, are all the big sweeps months where the Nielsen's do their testing.
Can you just
Or
explain that for the people outside of the US, what those are exactly?
What it is the Nielsen organization would monitor the ratings and do the rankings, and that's how you sell your advertising money for the big three networks, because that's what they depended on. And this is the time when cable TV wasn't as all over the country as it became like 5 years later. And it was still the big three networks. That means a failed show could be canceled having 18 million viewers. So that's
Really?
how important ratings were. And
Oh.
February was sweeps month. And according to Wikipedia, CBS was so worried about NBC airing The Munsters Revenge that they ran The Wizard of Oz that evening as competition to blow it out of the water, which it did, because in America the annual airings of The Wizard of Oz were always a high rated event to see that movie, because like the ratings were crazy for it every year. They did it every single year.
I think I've raised this before in the past, but I'm going to do it anyway again. Every year here on Channel 9, which is one of the free-to-airs, they will hold on New Year's Eve the fireworks display ones, and they'll show concurrent ones here in Melbourne and over in Sydney as well. And that'll wind up by 12:10, so it's after midnight, into New Year's Day every year without fail. Straight after that, you know what film they play? Can't Stop the Music.
Monsters.
Can't Stop the Music. Every year. You can bet the house on it. They do it every year. So, yeah. It's pretty cool. Someone's got some taste. Channel 9 News still sucks ass, but I mean, that's one cool piece.
It's got their bright points.
Yeah. That's because they get me to program it. That's why.
Yeah, because if it wasn't, you would be Crocodile Dundee every year.
Yeah, that's right. That abomination of Australian culture, that shithole of a movie. But John, you said you had a rant. Let's hear it.
It was about Sid Caesar. Okay. I've pretty much gotten it out, but Garo kind of stole my thunder because he had the same feelings, and so did Hunter. And there's no reason to really rant, but Sid Caesar, I think, was given the role almost as like what would you call it, like a respect thing, not necessarily because they thought he was going to be good, but because he was so well regarded in the TV industry. He was in a lot of NBC stuff at the time. And I remember when I Netflix, back when you could rent through the DVDs through the mail, I watched Pink Lady and Jeff, which I did not see back in '79. And Sid Caesar was the guest on a lot of episodes, playing the father of Pink Lady, doing his, slanty-eyed Japanese stereotype stuff, which you could not do today at all. And I thought he was so terribly unfunny. And I remember watching, like, your show of shows. There was a movie compilation that was released in theaters in '71 called 10 from Your Show of Shows. It was very funny. It used to play on HBO a lot in 1981. But Sid Caesar would be on all the NBC shows, the late '70s, early '80s, the variety hours and such, because they still had a lot of those. You can go back and watch the variety show episode we did a couple of months back. Me and Stu did. But Sid was like, he was just given these roles, and this obviously should have gone to somebody else, and I think it was given to him because for some reason they equated Sid Caesar with ratings and respect, and I don't know why. And they just let him get away with the Yid shtick and doing the Italian accent. He did that on Pink Lady and Jeff, by the way. It's not funny. It never was funny. I don't know. There's something about the respect given to these Catskills, hacks that maybe it's because he was Mr. Live sketch comedy in the '50s. Or kind of like the way they treat Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason could come on a show, not be funny, but nobody would say anything. It was that sort of thing. You'd see that back then.
Well, it's because of all the mob money going into this stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely a mob thing. Now, the funny thing about Sid Caesar, remember the scene in Blazing Saddles where a horse gets punched out?
Yes.
Okay. Mel Brooks based that on an incident that happened with Sid Caesar. He and his wife were riding horses, and the horse threw Sid's wife off, bucked her off, and Sid got off his horse and punched out the horse, and the horse went down. So apparently he was like a legit scary tough guy. And if you watch the movie My Favorite Year, Joseph Bologna is playing basically a Sid Caesar stand-in, and he's portrayed as a hot-tempered, fast-punching tough guy who's also the top comedian on TV.
Yeah, and I've heard from people who, I think I heard Carl Reiner talk about Sid Caesar, and he said that he was a guy who would not let you get close to him. That he kind of talked about him like, none of us really kind of knew Sid that well.
Yeah, he was a strange guy. Like, he put out a workout tape in the early '80s. I remember seeing him on Regis Philbin's Lifetime talk show back when Lifetime was a talk show network. And Sid Caesar was there in a tank top, workout suit, and he was doing exercise demos and stuff. And he was like pumping iron and probably boxing in a gym or something. So he's kind of a strange. It's weird when you have a comedian that's also a tough guy, because it's like then nobody can tell him he's not funny, because then he'll right cross you to the jaw.
Yeah, it's called Joe Piscopo syndrome.
Yes, exactly. Joe Piscopo could be the modern day Sid Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, a lot of comedians, they'll kind of front the tough guy thing, like I don't know, George Carlin or something, you know.
Yeah, and they're not. And the one who was but didn't do the tough guy thing too often was Jerry Lewis. Because if you watch, there's a Letterman appearance from like the early '80s before he had his strange weight problem. But he comes off like a tall Jewish gangster. He's actually kind of scary. He's got like the gold bracelet and he's really tall. Like, I didn't realize that when he was doing the Dean Martin movies, he would hunker down to look shorter. So Dino would look taller because he wanted to be the funny guy. So he's actually crouching down a little bit.
Yeah,
in every
I heard
scene.
that as well.
But he's actually like a big, scary gangster guy.
Well, and I've seen a lot of footage of Jerry in public settings, and he does kind of seem like he kind of mogs everybody with it's because he's just such a dominating presence. Yeah, but I feel like those guys
Don Corleone. I think he could have. Jerry Lewis is the Godfather.
Well, he was great in King of Comedy. You know, playing that talk show host.
Yeah,
you know, he played. That's a pretty straight role. He wasn't. Basically. Yeah, he wasn't doing the like, oh, lady. You know, like he wasn't. He was just.
He plays a Jewish mobster in an Ark of Wise Guy. That he's like really good. I think he may have even gotten an Emmy notice or like a nomination, for that series of episodes he did.
But I think a lot of those comedians from back then were mobbed up, you know, because the stand-up comedian, that's a mob term, you know, like you know, they a lot of them come from really sketchy backgrounds. Like, you know, Rodney Dangerfield was like one of those 10-man salesmen, you know, who were all scam artists,
right?
And I think he left that profession because he was gonna get arrested or something.
Hey, I was going to jail.
Hey, I sold somebody some bad siding. What are you gonna do? A lady cut herself and she got tetanus.
Well, this film basically has a mob element to it with the laundering of the money through the pizza store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the cafe, which they said was a pizza store. Like, that's how many pizza stores do you know offer cake and coffee and stuff like that? Literally, they just took a cafe.
Yeah.
Like they shot the exterior of a pizza place, and then the interior was like just a cafe, and they tried to say it was a pizza place. That's the Italian part of me coming out, because I can tell, you know, what pizza places look like.
Yeah. Okay. Was it on Chalk to Land?
What was that?
Was it on Chalk to Land?
Chalk to Land, yes.
Yeah, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm Armenian, Chalk to Indian, Italian.
That's all right. Yeah. Alrighty. So who had seen this for the first time this time around?
I saw this. I saw it when I was a kid a few times, but I didn't really remember much about it. So it's not a first time watch, but it might as well be for me.
Mm-hmm. John?
I think I saw it in '81 because some parts look familiar, but I just didn't have much of a memory about it.
I think I first saw this in, I want to say, '83.
At the drive-in on a double feature with the Gong Show movie.
You were there? Oh, shit. Why didn't you come and say hello? No, it was on TV. It was, we just bought a
pizza with a tooth in it.
Ugh. No, that was Lightning Jack. Oh, fuck. Fuck that guy. I'm glad he's gone. Nothing like, Hawaiian pizza with a gold tooth in there. Yes. Anyway, I think I first saw this in '83. We had just bought a VHS player after a lot of badgering our parents, my brother and I, and this aired, and we recorded it, and that is the tape that we played every single day after school. Come home, go to the shop, get a pasty or a pie from the milk bar, and watch The Munsters Revenge. It went either that and Wizard of Oz. It alternated. We would go through a period of just watching Munsters Revenge every day, then watching The Wizard of Oz every day after school. And that big old clunky pop-up VHS player. So where that tape is now, I think it's gone. I mean, we were talking 40 years ago nearly. But yeah, they're the fond memories I got of this film. And of course, it came out on DVD later. Came out on VHS, which I bought, the Good Times tape. And then I bought the DVD, from America. I think Good Times put that out as well. Which I don't know if that company's still going. I don't think so. And had that for the longest time until this rolled up. And then gave that, because I had Months to Go Home and Munsters Revenge, both from Good Times on DVD, and gave them to my brother. So, yeah. Seen this a lot. Anyone else got any more thoughts on some of the other casts in here?
There was one of the guys that was like the henchman of Sid Caesar who had the perfect 80s porn mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Like anytime he was on screen, I'm like, that dude should be in like Boogie Nights or something. It shouldn't be in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The one that was constantly
can I ask you a question? There was one scene in the movie. I don't know if I didn't go back and listen to it again, where Sid Caesar is attacking someone and talking Italian gibberish. And I think I heard him say "my cousin Vinny" during it. Did anyone else notice that?
No.
I missed it.
No?
My eyes glazed over during those scenes where Sid's
Yeah.
talking a lot.
I think I was mentally becoming deaf.
I kind of I enter a dissociative state
Yeah.
when he's talking, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Start
it was
to astrally project.
yeah. It was pretty bad. Sid Caesar.
All right.
He's dead, isn't he by now?
Yeah, he's dead.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he's long
I just don't
gone.
want to see him pop. I don't want to see him popping up in anything else.
Yeah, outside your
He's
window.
Okay, good. Okay.
Ghost of Sid Caesar.
Yeah.
You know.
Like Sid
Hey,
Caesar's
listen.
ghost.
Listen, Carol Burnett showed up in this last season of Better Call Saul, so I just don't want to be watching another show and all of a sudden fucking Sid Caesar's there, and I'm like, Christ.
Because he's doing Yiddish to Saul, and Saul can't
Yeah.
respond.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what does he say in Breaking Bad? He's like, oh, I just do the Jew thing
For the homeboys.
for the homeboys. Yeah.
Well, yep.
The guy who played Igor in this, Howard Morris. Anybody know about this guy? I just looked him up and noticed he did quite a bit of voice work.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
he did. I looked into him because I was going, who is this?
I thought it was that guy from John. Who's that guy from Laughing? Is it Artie Shaw?
Yeah, Artie Shaw.
I thought it was him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they couldn't get Artie Shaw that year
Mm.
because he had done Love at First Bite, so he's probably in demand. Let's see.
That's right. He did too. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but this guy's done. What's he did?
Well, he also did
plastic.
some.
Okay, so hang on. Sorry, Hunter. Plastic Man, which of course I own. What else was it? What was the other one here? I saw it. Adamant. He was the voice of Adamant.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Funny.
Yeah.
But he also did some stuff with Mel Brooks. He was in High Anxiety.
Okay. Groovy Ghoulies. He did the voice in that, and he was Jughead in
Groovy Ghoulies.
Archie's.
Sounds like the Ramones. Which is actually a true story, because I was hanging out with John and Fabe. I almost said his name. I was hanging out with John and Laser Craze Guy. Remember, we walked over to TT the Bears, I think it was, and
Yeah, it was
Groovy
TT the
Ghoulies
Bears.
were playing. Groovy Ghoulies were playing there, and we're out. We didn't go inside. We we just hung out outside the club, and you could like hear the whole set. And Laser Craze guy did say, "John, they sound like the Ramones." From the Groovy
Between
Ghoulies.
cigarette puffs on his cigarette. It's not the Ramones.
All right. Okay. Had to bring it up for effect while Garo was telling the story. And
Well, you brought up the Groovy Ghoulies.
but I was talking about the cartoon, the Groovy Ghoulies, not the band.
There's a band. Yeah, but
I know
there's a
that.
band.
But I'm,
And I have
This
I have
Howard guy might
a-
have been a mobbed up cartoon voiceover dude. Just-
who knows?
He works in Mel Brooks movies, works with Sid Caesar, and then he's also doing all these cartoon voices. So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what do we think of Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis in this? Fine?
Terrific.
But-
As good
yeah.
as you could expect.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the chemistry was still there.
Yeah, I don't think they ever lost it, those two.
You know, the one thing I was worried about was, that Fred Gwynn didn't want to do it, so I thought, maybe he just phone it in, but he doesn't. He gives it his 110% like he always does.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus his accountant would have told him each day, you've just earned this much today, Fred. Okay. Do it.
Well, I guess I'll get back into makeup.
Yeah. But bit of a fun fact. This was not the last time that Yvonne De Carlo, Al Lewis would appear together in a Munsters film. They did one more, but not as Lily and not as Grandpa. In the film Here Come the Munsters, they made a cameo sitting at a
That's the
restaurant
one where
table.
Edward Herman plays Herman Munster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're seated at a table with Butch Patrick and Pat Priest, but not as just as customers. That's all. So for those of you who want to watch Here Come the Munsters, and it's a fun movie. I enjoy it.
I guess the people making Here Come the Munsters didn't meet Fred Gwynn's salary demands on that one.
Well, no, they didn't. They tapped on his coffin and said, "Can you do it?" He was dead by that time.
Oh, he was dead by then. I
Yeah,
thought that was,
he died 2 years
okay.
earlier. Yeah.
Oh, 2
Yeah,
years.
he died
ago.
not
Okay,
long
that
after
makes
My
sense.
Cousin Vinny gave him sort of a comeback in a way.
Oh yeah, it was like a year later or something, wasn't it?
93,
he
he
died
passed
of,
away.
Yeah, he died
Yeah.
of pancreatic cancer, if I recall.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was something brutal like that, where it was like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's all she wrote.
But boy, Al Lewis, he lived on till what?
He lived on a long time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he die like 2010 or something?
Yeah.
It was something crazy. It's like those little commies just don't.
Yeah, they
don't stop
just
going.
He died in 2006.
2006,
And what was he about? 85 or something?
82.
82? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, he looked a lot old. Man, that guy looked old. Even
He
back in
always
the
looked old, yeah.
50s, Car 54, he looked old.
Yeah, he always looked. He's one of those guys. Like this movie was kind to him because he's always looked like an old man. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like time was finally catching up with Al Lewis's looks because,
yeah, he's like the Alice Cooper of the cast. Just
Yeah, pretty much.
I was reading up on Yvonne De Carlo today, and I really want to try and get a hold of her book. I think I'm going to struggle because it's been out quite a few years. But she sounds like a really interesting woman. She does. Don't know. Did she ever have any children at all?
She
must be
and
quite
Jack
interesting.
Mahoney were supposed to have kids, and she miscarried the baby, and it ended their relationship.
Okay.
So I don't think she ever had kids. I don't even think she was married very long when she did get married, if she did.
She dated
'Cause I remember
around.
looking at her life, and I was surprised because she was a big like screen goddess in the 40s. She was like a sex pot, and like
According to
before Marilyn
IMDb,
Monroe or any of them, and she was hot stuff, but the personal life didn't seem all that great.
I'm seeing on IMDb that she had kids.
She did.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I see 2 children.
All right.
He was married to Robert Drew Morgan, 1955 to 1973.
Okay.
Oh, it's quite a while. Okay.
Political party, Republican.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she must be an interesting person if she's willing to have sex with Gene Simmons.
Well, they both vote the same way, don't they?
Probably.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah. I think Paul Stanley's the lib in that friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's the over-emotional one, as we can tell.
Oh, if you read any of his books, he's hysterical.
Everything, yeah.
And, not in the funny way.
No. No. I did this. I.
And nobody gave me enough credit, and everybody else doesn't work as hard as me and takes credit for all my stuff, and nobody recognized how talented I am and how great I am.
Yeah. And Gene didn't believe in marriage, so I didn't invite him to my wedding. Okay. You think he cares?
Man, what a
dumb shit thing to say about someone who's basically your best friend.
Yeah.
They don't believe in marriage, but doesn't mean you don't invite them to the wedding. I mean, it's your choice. It's your life.
Very, very passive aggressive, Paul.
Yeah. The horror stories I heard, especially around the era of Dynasty. He was just, don't look at him. Don't speak to him. If you're a staff member, just don't.
Don't notice his weird ear.
Yeah.
What a queen.
And he basically had a 3 strikes and you're out policy with staff and crew. Yeah, you're exactly right, John. What a queen.
Yeah. But that was always the big rumor. Still is, probably.
Oh, it's pretty much out there. Pun intended. Out there that he's very much a pendulum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying, I said one group, he shared a picture of himself and getting like cryo therapy or something, like where he sits in it. And I went, he's entered the phase of life where every photo looks photoshopped, where it looks like a Paul Stanley face is pasted on to whatever I'm seeing.
You're saying he looks like every Instagram model. He looks like an
Yeah.
Instagram model. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insta tramp. But with Paul Stanley, he looks like those elderly Jewish women you see who would nag their husbands to their graves and just, Barney, I don't like it here. I want to go home. That's what he looks like these days. But
Well, culturally, that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's an old Jewish woman.
Yes.
And Gene may have the Brillo hair and look like, De Golem, but he's got a better outlook on life than bloody Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene is sleazy, but he's more interesting to listen to than Paul.
Yeah.
When they talk, like when they're
big time.
interviewed and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a sleazebag, but still more interesting than Paul, who's obviously a closet, hypersensitive guy.
And then there's Ace, my friend, Ace Frehley. Oh, I signed him to Megaforce Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I discovered him.
Do you know what Ace's provision was to be signed to Megaforce Records? What made him agree to it?
He needed a case of Jack Daniels or something.
No.
What?
Eddie Trunk had to have a pastrami sandwich with Ace Frehley. That's the true story.
What?
All Eddie Trunk had to do was have a pastrami sandwich with Ace Frehley, and Ace would sign the Megaforce.
Well, I doubt that was a challenge for Eddie. I mean,
No, it was
Eating no sandwich is a challenge.
strange. That was Ace when he was in his, weirdo stage.
Yeah, that's back when I signed him. My friend Ace Frehley. Ace is a friend going back many years. I'm going to interview him today on my show. Ace, how's it going? Hey, Eddie, how's it going? Oh, I'm going out on tour. I sound like Fran Drescher. That's not right.
That's probably how he sounds, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it is.
Actually, Fran Drescher and Paul Stanley could be twins.
Yeah, they could.
They could.
Paul could star in The Nanny too.
How about Fran Drescher as a Lily Munster? Would that have worked?
No.
Nah.
No.
No. Veronica Hamill, from the clips I've seen of that Munsters movie with Edward Herrmann, she looks like she assumed the role really well. So I think that's what you have to do, is get a pretty actress to do the role, I think, who can do comedy. So that seems to work better.
Or just
so what you're
hire
saying
your
is the
talentless
Rob
wife.
Zombie one. I was going to say, you're saying the Rob Zombie one's not going to work, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that. How
Yeah,
dare you
I
assume that?
Sherry Moon Zombie's not ugly in the face at all, but I
No.
don't know about the comic timing. She can't act. I mean, it's going to be an issue.
Actually, it's gone quite a while since we mentioned Rob Zombie, nearly an hour.
I was going to say, when I brought it up, I was going, "Oh, don't bring it up."
Yeah.
Like, we've talked.
You just muddy the waters, Hunter. Damn it.
Yeah, I know. Now we're all going to be talking about the Rob Zombie movie.
I really think if there's going to be another sequel to the Munsters, and I know we're preempting way into the future, but let's just say, I don't think, honestly, now, it made me think of what Garo said, I think on episode 1. I don't think he's going to put any Eddie or Marilyn. I don't think he really knows how to deal with children, how to film them, how to interact with them as a director. I don't think Sherry Moon knows how to interact with children as an actress. I really believe there won't be any Eddie. There may be a Marilyn because you're dealing with somebody at least who was a teenager, maybe early 20s. I don't think there's going to be an Eddie at all.
I agree.
I
don't.
I may be wrong, but I just can't see it.
Or Eddie's
I
always
doubt
going
we'll
to
be
be
getting that far.
on vacation, like he's out with a class trip for this movie, or something like that.
Oh, speaking of that, as a tidbit, it just reminded me somehow that the musical score for this was done by Vic Mizzy, who did the theme to Addams Family.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, don't know if that was a calculated move or was just pure coincidence. I don't know, but yeah.
Do you know before Rob Zombie was going to make a Munsters movie, that the Wayans brothers were going to actually make a Munsters movie? That at one point they had the rights to do it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
He's right.
and I just think it would be like, because it's not. I don't think it was Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon Wayans. I think it was the other
Marlon
Wayans
and
Yeah.
Sean. Yeah.
And I think Keenan and Damon could probably do it real well. But I think like the other two would just kind of go on and be like, oh, you know why everyone's scared of the Munsters? But it's gonna be like, because the Munsters this time are black, so everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, there's black monsters in the neighborhood. That's worse than white monsters.
Actually, you know who's going to be, if that was to ever come to fruition, who they could get as Herman Munster? Pretty darn easy once you hear it. Sean James, the YouTuber.
I don't even know who that is.
Blackenstein.
It's our friend
Oh no.
Frank Blackman. Is
okay.
no friend of his. Yeah. Yeah.
The one who says you guys are horrible at martial arts, not movie knowledge.
Yeah. He still emails us telling us we're a pack of idiots. And can he come back on soon? Yeah. Still morons. I don't know. Anybody got anything else to say about this? I mean, you'd think that I'd have a diatribe of about an hour to speak, but I really don't, because I've just seen it that many times that I found myself today, like many other times, it's going to sound insane, speaking the dialogue as it was coming. It's
part of your DNA, basically.
It is. It really is. For instance, when the Herman and Grandpa bust out of the back of the van when it's leaving the pizza store, and they're trying to tell the cops to go chase the van because it's got the robots in there. I was literally saying line for line, word for word, what was coming up next. I thought, it's pretty sad, but what are you going to do?
And he also had, right before that, it also had the great joke where they're in the van with the robots, and Grandpa starts hitting on the female robot, and Herman's like, "Oh, that's a robot. They don't talk. She doesn't talk." And Grandpa's like, "I know. Those are the best kind."
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, man. Grandpa's a good dude. He
Yep.
knows.
He knows.
Well,
He knows.
the best joke was when they were in jail and the black cellmate tries
Oh
to
yeah,
tries to be the cell block king on Herman and calls him a honky, and then suddenly realizes the big Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would actually love to see. I know you can't do it. You want to do it with Herman Munster, like Herman in the ghetto. Like that would be like the perfect movie, you know? Like him just going in there and all the black people like, what are you? Oh shit, look at you. Like a whole movie of that, I'm into. I want to watch it.
Could you write
If
that?
this had been a ratings winner, it might have happened the next year.
Yep.
You know what? That's like what needs to happen is like the Munsters, but since the Munsters is about them interacting with the square world, a really good Munsters reboot needs to be like Jackass, where it's like Man on the Street with Herman Munster.
Yeah.
Like, hidden camera pranks, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, at this point, you put someone out there, they'll just think they're like a fucking Democrat or something, you know, fucking liberal, you know. That's all they'll think. They'll be like, oh, look, there's another crazy looking fucking liberal. Oh, wow. What am I supposed to do? There's too many of them. I live in fucking Cambridge, Mass. I go to Harvard Square. I see them all the fucking time. They all look like fucking freaks. I'm sorry, I had a flashback.
Yeah. Just like Dorothy, it's all right, Toto, we're not in Massachusetts anymore.
I started to hyperventilate.
Yeah. You're safe in DeSantis land now. You're okay.
Yes, exactly.
But there was one thing as well with the robots in this. They look cheap as shit. They are obviously Don Post masks. And the way you can tell, by the obvious reason, is that when Herman interrupts, I think Herman is somewhere, and it's one of the supposed robots. You can see the back of the opening of the mask, just towards the neck area. So one that's just slipped on.
In defense of the movie, most of the budget went to paying Fred Gwynn.
So I believe that. Yeah.
Well, and did y'all notice the Tor Johnson mask in there too?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they just called up Don Post Studios and said, "Hey, send over your best costumes and stuff." And since Universal owns the Munsters and the rights to the look of their classic monsters, the Phantom of the Opera can look like Lon Chaney. They had the Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's a copyrighted, costume suit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the classic movie monsters is the Beast of Yucca Flats.
I still got to see that.
Oh boy, I've seen it several times and couldn't tell you what the hell goes on in it.
Yeah, it's one of those you can barely call it a movie.
But I've watched it like 4 or 5 times. I don't know why.
It's
strange. It's so bad.
It's weirdly compelling because
you cannot take your eyes off of it.
Well, because you're just like, oh, so this is the length some people will go to produce something. It's because
back then it was so profitable to make any cheap monster movie because you automatically had a TV sale. It's kind of like streaming today. You can just get away with making any piece of garbage and get it on stream. But that's how prolific and profitable it was to do it back then. But also I noticed it appears that a lot of this was filmed at the time, and somebody can correct me on this because I didn't research it. It's actually hard to research this stuff. But I think Universal Studios had a Dracula, like a House of Frankenstein stage show for their tours. And I think a lot of this was actually filmed on that stage set at the time, and it was also a way to kind of promote it. But it looked like it was, because I've seen photos, at least in the 60s, they were doing like the Castle of Frankenstein stage show where they showed off their monsters because that was their big thing at the time. They replaced it, I believe, with a Conan the Barbarian stage show that I saw when I was there in *91. That was pretty good. But for many years it was the Frankenstein thing because that was their big.
Do you think the scene that had Herman and Grandpa visiting Igor back in Transylvania would have been that set? Yeah,
that's what it looked like to me. Immediately I flashed back to pics that I think my grandmother took in the 1960s when she went to Universal Studios and they were doing that tour. And I said, okay, I bet that's the Dracula show that they were doing at the time.
I found the actual inside of the house to be very, very similar, a replication of the old TV show. Would that have been a set they still would have had sort of set up, or they have to reconstruct it?
Probably had to redress it. I bet it was changed for a regular, normal sitcom that was filmed there, and then they redressed it again for the Munsters, because really all they do is they just change the furniture and change the drapes and make it look a bit different.
Yeah, no Spot under the stairs in this one, but we do see not actually Spot's face, even though it's not silhouetted in under the stairs, but we do see the fire and his very cheap looking paw playing checkers with Herman. But I did like the string of boyfriends Marilyn was having come through when they were all just spooked the hell out. The one in the
Still funny.
Museum. Yeah.
I also did like it that Herman finally said Marilyn was beautiful and she was dressed like a witch.
That's
He's
right.
Like, oh, you look so beautiful.
Because we saw that coming a mile away too.
Oh, yeah.
It's still funny when he said it. Funny when he said it.
They mentioned they had the Halloween party at the house at the end. They had an Aunt Elvira. Was there an Elvira property floating around before that? The name even or something?
So the Oak Ridge Boys had a hit song, and I don't think Cassandra Peterson started the Elvira character until like 1981. But I might be wrong.
Just a coincidence that there was an Aunt Elvira. Didn't look nothing like Elvira, the Cassandra Peterson character, but the name. Obviously, there was a vampire going around. It was back in the 50s.
Yeah.
But no Elvira, so yeah, I just wanted to ask about that one. If there's some sort of property back in the 70s of an Elvira or... No.
I noticed that too, and I just figured it must have been a name that maybe because the Oak Ridge Boys song was big. But I mean, I've also read a rumor that Cassandra Peterson started filming, her first day of filming, she was called Vampira, and then they got a cease and desist.
Oh, yeah.
The real
I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard, I don't know how true it is, but who knows?
Boy, did she...
I think it's best if the culture just forgets Elvira.
Yeah.
Boy, she pissed off a lot of people. I tell you, what a career suicide is.
I don't think she's... I've never been a fan of hers. I did. I've never understood the appeal.
No offense, Hunter, you need to be a teenage boy back then, and you would understand. John's grimacing. I just noticed. No?
No, it's just to me she's just a bad Groundlings actress doing the tape together breast, and it's, if you look at footage of the Vampira from the 50s, there's something really artsy and cool about what she was doing.
Yeah.
Compared to this kind of witless Valley Girl bullshit that was already tired after Lorraine Newman pretty much pioneered that character in the 70s on SNL, and it's just like, I remember watching Elvira like in 83, 84, whenever we got her in New Orleans, and I didn't get it. I just didn't grow up with horror host like that. And it's just, I don't know. It didn't
who would have? Robert Cummings would have got that Elvira itch.
I'm sure he was a fan. But,
he would be like, yeah!
Well, she's in the Munsters remake.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable, but I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
and then her recent stuff that she said in interviews about she realized she was a lesbian when she saw a girl at the gym. It's like, what a fucking liar. It's like, you were always a lesbian.
That's right.
Are your fans dumb enough? She thinks her fans are that stupid, they'll believe her.
You're right.
It's very condescending and dumb. It's just admit you were always lesbian. It's all right.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise any of us. Who cares?
None of us are getting you, so who cares? I mean,
exactly. You're 70,
shattering any dreams.
Or 80, however old she is.
I think she's Al Lewis's age.
Yeah, I think she is.
But she does look better than Al Lewis, let's say that much.
Well, anybody looks better than Al Lewis, I think. Pretty much.
Well, let's wait and see when Sherry Moon's 82.
Hey, do you know who died recently that you probably haven't heard of? And it just goes to show about the irrelevancy of this person, someone's father died. Howard Stern's father died. Right. And I bet none of you have heard about it.
No.
Oh.
And it just shows to the irrelevancy of Howard Stern, because if this happened 20 years ago, it would probably be major news on every station and be like, "Oh, Howard Stern's father died. Howard Stern's father died." And now
Walter
it's like,
Walter Kern was roasting Howard Stern on his podcast with Matt Taibbi. he equated Stern as like he's like a hooker who wants to become a society girl. and he does this
Like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman.
Yeah, he's just like he does this he goes, I want to know where these memos come from that tell these radio comics to all of a sudden get really turn into Edward R. Murrow and get really serious.
You know, for those of you who have heard him, who is generally a funnier person? Is it Stern or Mancow?
I never really
I
heard
haven't listened to Mancow at all.
Okay.
I've never listened to Mancow in my life.
Okay.
I'd probably say out of all those shock jocks from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, the only one who's still funny is Anthony Cumia.
I was going to say Anthony Cumia is the funniest out of all those guys I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Anthony's still funny. You know.
Because he doesn't look for mainstream respectability, so he still keeps his edge, I guess.
Yeah.
He knows he's odd man out the way he was fired from Sirius, or listeners can go look that up. So he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah, I mean, Howard, it's just like, I wish he would retire, because the longer he goes on, the more he'll be remembered for all the shit he's doing now and not the great radio that he did in like the 80s and 90s. So that's why I'm like, just please stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
So if he had retired around the time of Private Parts,
he'd have been a legend.
If he had,
he'd been an absolute
pretty
legend.
much.
yeah.
The legend retired. That's what he should have done. Could have preserved his rep.
Everybody, just about everybody says they should have done that farewell tour. Done. Gone.
Yeah.
Because everyone I know that was a Stern fan in the 90s and even the early 2000s hates him now. Hates him.
Yeah.
He lost.
I don't know
he
anybody
pretty much,
who's...
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who says I still listen to Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, like Matt Taibbi on that podcast goes, "Oh, I used to listen to Stern a long time ago," you know. But
hey Hunter, I listened to that podcast as well. Did you notice Matt Taibbi couldn't even remember that Stern ran for governor of New York?
Yeah.
He completely couldn't even remember. He goes, "Didn't he run for office or something?"
Something in a manner just like Trump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen someone.
Well, the reason to listen to that podcast is Kern, really.
Yeah, Kern's great.
It's not. Yeah, Walter Kern. If you don't follow Walter Kern on Twitter, you should. He's good at Twitter.
Yeah, but I've never seen like such a relevancy happen to someone who is so hot, you know, and then just like really flush all of his credibility down the toilet just in the span of a few years.
I think the analogy Kern made is correct. He loves being in the Hollywood crowd. He loves their approval, and he'll do anything to keep it. And I think that's more important to him than the listeners. And Sirius is willing to prop him up. You know, he can go do a show, and I don't know who's listening to it, but you know.
He was better when his Hollywood friends were Dee Snider and Andrew Dice Clay. That was like peak Stern.
That was it. Oh, I think Chuck Norris and Joe Piscopo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, he kind of just he lost it.
Did going to Sirius ruin Stern?
He was still funny for a few years after that. What happened was the big change was when Artie left the show, and it started to happen a little before Artie left, like maybe a year and a half before Artie left the show. Like Howard was already starting to make that turn. You know, same thing happened with Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith turned into a huge pussy. You know,
and that was Kevin Smith is a great example of how these parents are led around by their kids, because it definitely. He was on his way down already, but I've noticed it's gone into overdrive since his daughters started appearing in movies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And she seems to be she seems to be leading him around.
She does because he allows it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, that Kevin Smith's another great example.
Hey, Stuart, I'm going to send you a picture, and I want you to screen share it. Hold on for 1 second. Okay. I'm sending it to you now, and I want you to screen share it, and I'm going to explain what everyone's looking at.
All right. Hold on a second.
That is who Kevin Smith's daughter's dating.
Oh.
If your father has a low T count, the daughter's not going to suck out high T guys.
I mean, can you think of a guy who looks more like a pussy than that guy?
That
He
screams.
reminds me of the religious guy that Kevin Smith, his character's mocked in Clerks 2.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
right.
he reminds me of him.
That's, in fact, I was kind of going. He looks like someone from a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
his
like the
jumper
religious guy
says
that he's always going to mock and rip on.
his jumper says community of love. Hippies are right. Fuck. This kid
He's probably
screams.
another fruity. He's probably another fruity vegan too, just like Kevin.
Yeah.
California.
He has got 3 letters attached to it screaming it. HRT. Hormone replacement therapy. He looks like the sort of guy, honestly, who'd be asking Smith's daughter everything. Is it alright if I hold your hand? Is it alright if I can get a kiss? Is it alright?
If it's all right if I wear your clothes.
Yeah, you gonna consent? Is it okay?
Can I wear your underwear?
You did say that your father has gag balls, right? You get that gag ball from your father's drawer? Yeah. Fucking hell. They must not breed. They are forbidden from fucking breeding, them two.
No, we don't need any more of them.
He probably doesn't even have any working semen inside of him from all the vegan diet.
Yeah. All right.
Believe me.
Having said that, shall we rate the Munsters Revenge, which people have been tuning in to listen to instead of getting everything but that?
Can we get our negative iTunes reviews about what bullies we are?
Actually, if you look on the Australian iTunes store, we've got 2 reviews, a 5 and a 1. we got an average of 3. So someone out there ain't happy.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Well, we have
Okay.
enemies.
Okay, Munsters Revenge.
It's all your bashing of fucking Crocodile Dundee that got us the 1.
Well, I stand by it with no shame.
I think you
You
went
gotta
too
be
far.
proud of Paul Hogan. Your Paul Hogan hatred stopped you from having a perfect score.
I
on
have to
Australian
stand by my not my rights. What's the word? I can't even think you've upset me that much. Shut up, Garo. By my convictions. That's what I mean. I got to stand by my convictions about Paul Hogan. I'll tell you what. If we're going to play that,
middle-aged guys, what do they expect?
I tell you what. We haven't done this for a long time. When we used to spin the wheel of death on the MMC, who's going to drop off next? Fucking Paul Hogan, man. At 82, he can't be far away. He can't be. I was saying Mick Mars for the longest time. That motherfucker kept living, so I'm stopping with Mick Mars.
Mick Mars is a cockroach.
Yeah.
The human cockroach. He's replaced Keith Richards.
Yeah.
Guys,
All right.
let's-
Munsters Revenge. I know we want to wind it up. Okay. Hunter, what are you giving it?
I'll give it a I'll give it a 6. I gave it about the same I gave Munster Go Home. I liked it, but I like Munster Go Home for different reasons. Munster Go Home it's got more of a we're doing a big movie thing, so we have that big race and stuff like that. Whereas this is like a it's like the Munsters meet Scooby-Doo. It's fun. And for the cast to be gone for a few years, come back and feel right in the pocket works. I just, get rid of Sid Caesar and the Phantom with you there.
Yeah. Okay. John,
Solid 6. If it had no Sid Caesar, I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay, Garo.
I'm going 7 because I gave Munsters Go Home a 6. I like this better than Munsters Go Home, and it probably would have been an 8 if it had no Sid Caesar or Phantom. Get rid of those two, and it's a much better movie. But I did enjoy it. I had a good time. I'm hoping that the Rob Zombie film will probably take inspiration from this, but he'll mostly probably just take inspiration from the Sid Caesar parts.
Yes. Yeah. He'll take inspiration from his own previous films, like 3 from Hell. Yeah.
So
Well,
we're
you like
PG
that one.
rated.
You gave that a 10, so
I give it a 6.5.
That's right. He did.
Stop
give it a
misleading the audience.
He
Give it a
Give it like a
10 from
10,
Hell
Stu. What the
10.
hell?
You gave the 3 from Hell a 10. What's the matter with you?
Somebody has to be in Zombie's corner at least once.
yeah.
Stop
that's
picking on the
Cherry Moon
kid.
Zombie. He doesn't need you.
Oh, well, then fuck it. I'll regrade it 0.
Yes.
See, we're going new CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery on this shit. It's like, no, we
Yep.
don't know him anything. We don't know Rob Zombie shit.
Nope.
Yeah.
We'll
All right.
cancel the Munsters. We'll
All right.
we'll bury it.
Shelve it.
Actually,
What are you giving it, Stuart?
the artwork I was showing you boys for weeks 1, week 2, etc. The collage, I've actually got the Rob Zombie one done. It's just all the lettering. Week 4, the Munsters with Garo Nigoghossian, and it's just got all turd emojis.
Oh, no. I'll be posting the audio version on my social media.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to rate the Munsters Revenge. I'm giving it a big old 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Childhood bias always gets it.
Yeah.
Okay, now before we end the show, we have to. What do you think you're gonna give a rating to what you think Rob Zombie's Munsters is gonna be and why? John, you go first.
I'm gonna predict a 4. I think it might have a good 15-20 minutes, maybe, if we're lucky.
Hey,
And,
Garo, is that going to become a sound bite after one that you'll never live down, John?
yeah, I'm gonna say 4, but that's kind of, he could surprise us. I don't think he will, but I'm gonna be nice and just say maybe a 4, but I think it's gonna be pretty goddamn awful, honestly.
Okay. Hunter's still thinking.
I'm aiming pretty low. I think it's gonna be. I'll go lower. You know, maybe it'll surprise me. I'll like it more. I'll go 3.
And why?
Why?
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer?
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't think I cracked a smile.
I'm with John. I think it's a 4. I think it could have some decent stuff in it, but I think it's probably going to be my favorite Rob Zombie movie out of 4. But yeah, it's going to be better than all of his other movies, but it's still not going to be considered a good movie by normal standards.
All right, I'm going to give it a 1.5 because for the reason that I'm expecting absolutely nothing, and it gives me a lot of leeway to play with from 1.5 to 10. It ain't going to be a 10. I mean, let's just get that out there. Ain't happening. No.
And you did
The
get
only
3 from
glimmer
Hell
of
10.
hope is the PG rating. I'm telling you right there, the only positive sign. He got a soft PG. That was stunning to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He just might
All right.
surprise us.
So we've just preempted what we think it's going to be. You know what? I said it before. If this film knocks our socks off, we all rave about it. It'll be one we'll never live down ever.
No, I want it to. I want to be
Yeah,
surprised.
I want it to be
I
good.
agree.
I want a
really-
shock. I want to be humbled. I do.
Yes.
I want to be surprised. I'm tired of this movie review gig being so predictable with new stuff. I want to be surprised.
I
Please.
want Rob Zombie to surprise us all with a great Munsters film that we can put up there, right up top. Then he can get to us on Twitter and say, I told you guys this was going to be great, and he's going to block us. I'd be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Yeah,
you
that's
can go
probably
complain
gonna
about the kids at the skate park. All right.
I'm already blocked by Fangoria on Twitter, so.
Are you?
Oh, okay.
I made fun of them because they took. Remember when Cinestate got shut down and the
Mhm.
Rebeller got shut down? Well, suddenly I got an email offering me a Fangoria subscription for some alleged cheap price, and I knew Fangoria had an ugly divorce from Cinestate, and I said those assholes. They basically got the subscription list from the Rebeller because that's how they got my email.
Mhm.
And then I looked at Fangoria's page; they had blocked me. It's just like,
Jeez.
like,
Touchy.
so I started calling them the nickname the Gore Gazette always had for them on Twitter because Twitter bots can't pick up on that.
The
Yeah,
shifting
all
of
in one
letters in
word.
Fang. All right. All right.
I
well,
mean, I mean, the thing is, why do you even need fucking magazines anymore? I mean, everyone's got the internet. Anything you want to know news-wise is on a website within 20 minutes of it happening. You know, it's like you get a magazine, all the news is fucking 2 months old. It's ridiculous.
The only reason to get a magazine is good writing, and you're not getting that
And-
from Fangoria.
No, because every single fucking writer now is a friggin' libtard. So
Yeah,
there's no way
It's
you
unbearable.
can get decent writing. You know,
speaking
magazines
of
are
writing,
dead.
when's the latest Wings Chop, John?
I think they quit publishing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say. It's
Right?
been a
You
while.
can still get them from Amazon. I don't even have all the issues, but you can still get them from Amazon. They're fairly cheap. Those are worth picking up, I think.
Mm-hmm. All righty.
And there is a zine I'm currently buying issues of. It's Bare Bones, and the writing is actually really good in it. And a lot of times they're just reviewing books. And S. Craig Zoller is actually a regular contributor to it, so it's actually worth reading. I've been enjoying that. A little overpriced at $10, but it's all right.
Be good if we can get him on one day.
Oh boy, wouldn't that be cool? He's not making any movies, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh,
Yeah,
speaking of that, you were talking to Hunter was talking to one of the guys from Bloody Oak Gang.
Don't jinx it. I don't know.
No. I just said
wouldn't
you were
bring that
talking
up
to.
on the
That's
show.
all. That's all I said.
Yeah,
You were just
okay.
discussing with me. Alrighty. All right. We'll wrap up. We'll wrap up week 3 of Munsters Month. Munsters Revenge in the can. And yeah, the big one next week.
Yep. The big
18
one.
months. Has it been 18 months since we first heard about this announcement or thereabouts? About that, huh? It's been a while. Alrighty. All right. We'll wrap it up and we'll have the Nez for his piece. God knows what he's been talking about. It'll be something offensive, I'm sure.
Him, please.
Oh, man, it cracks up. Okay, boys. Say goodnight.
Night.
Right.
Adios.
And now, it's time for Rue Britannia with your foreign correspondent, the Nez.
In a move that will surprise nobody, even those who thought that the royal funeral was actually just an excuse for London Fashion Week, the world's hoi polloi descended on London with all the adroit subtlety of a statue of John F. Kennedy having its head removed with a beer keg, and as usual, the voluntary humiliation ran somewhat rather deep. Joe Biden, when not getting stuck in traffic, compared Her Majesty the Queen to his own mother. The Queen passed away at the age of 96 years of age. Joe Biden is 78 years of age. So what Biden is alluding to is frankly anybody's guess. Still, it's nice to see Joe paying tribute to a white person he actually really liked. Meanwhile, New Zealand Prime Minister and part-time racehorse Jacinda Ardern bragged at the BBC about New Zealand one day becoming a republic. Naturally, she contradicted herself. On the one hand, she said it would actually inevitably happen, but actually not in their lifetime. Yet she actually fails to mention that she's only really 42 years of age. Yes. Meanwhile, the London media went about normal business as usual. BBC presenters boasted of the end of the monarchy, but not really the end of the BBC licence fee. That's about it. Daytime TV presenters jumped the queue in order to pay tribute to the Queen's casket lying in repose in Westminster Hall. For everyone else, it was just basically a 7-hour wait. The Markles humiliated themselves just for the fun of it, as usual, before leaving. Lady Colin Campbell on her YouTube channel bested the London media's coverage of the 11 Days of Grief by both providing accurate coverage as well as also a very accurate inside track as regarding the unofficial royal line. If I were a tabloid journalist, I'd kill for real sources as good as hers. And over 400,000 members of the British public passed by the Queen's casket. Rumours of the demise of the monarchy have all the accuracy of CNN presenters telling the time of day, which is to say, way off beam and wide of the mark. Further notes in passing, the Hindu and Muslim immigrant communities marked the 11 days of grieving with a series of Indian-style communal riots on the streets of Leicester, all covered up originally by the London media until police officers started to get injured. Diversity is our strength. I'm sure the 16 officers and police dog who were injured formally agree. Heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury ends 11 days off Twitter in order to get back to boasting about beating tomato can Anthony Joshua. Quote unquote, "I'm going to deck the fucking laser fucker for the Queen," he shouted. And so say all of us. And royal author and journalist Angela Levin shocked viewers of GB News this week by boasting that eventually the Queen's favourite Bond film was Moonraker. Apparently she choked on a cigarette when Jaws effectively fell in love with Dolly. Well, that's a point of view. And that's it. 11 days of mourning are over. Done. To quote Shakespeare's Othello, I have done the state some service. They know it. No more of that. Pax.